let's kick this off. I'm going to introduce Courtney. She is the founder of Culinary Care. Courtney, let me bring you up here on the screen. All right. Hi, Courtney.
Hi.
All right, here we go.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. I see so many familiar names in the chat. So thank you all for joining and for being part of our community for so many years. For those that are just joining for the first time, just learning about Culinary Care, my name is Courtney and I'm the founder of the organization. I started Culinary Care over 10 years ago. So our 2023 was actually our 10th anniversary, which is really amazing, a huge milestone that we were celebrating. I started the organization just out of personal experience. I lost my father to lung cancer when I was in high school. And from the time he was diagnosed until he passed away, we were fortunate to have friends and neighbors that made sure food was one less thing that we had to worry about. There was a meal at our doorstep or just at the hospital with us for lunch. And it just meant the world to me and my family to be able to spend that time with my dad and actually savor every moment that we had with him and not have to worry about how we were going to eat, what we were going to have for food. And we were able to look forward to all of the meals that were brought to us. So it just made such a huge impact on my life that years later, I really wanted to be able to give back in some way and, decided that I was going to bring food to other families that were going through cancer treatments and just found that there was nowhere that I could volunteer. And so that was what started Culinary Care, was really just thinking through like what meant so much to me and knowing how much those meals meant and wanting to make a difference. And so 10 years later, we have helped over 4,000 families get meals and community support. And our mission overall as an organization is to nourish as many cancer recoveries as possible. And the way that we do that is by nourishing community. So bringing a sense of community to all of the families that we serve that are going through treatment, nourishing strength. And so the actual physical meals that we provide, making sure that they have, food on their plate. And then also just nourishing hope. So we have volunteers and donors and a lot of just different touch points with our staff that just make sure that our families know that we're here to support them and really want them to know that we care about what they're going through. Make Lunch Count Day. So one of our programs, we actually deliver meals to the hospital. Everything is prepared by local restaurants, but what a lot of people don't know is that the hospital does not give you any meals during your chemotherapy appointments. And so you could come in, a lot of our families are coming in, anywhere from like 6, 7 a.m. and they do not get access to a lunch while they're there. So you could be there anywhere for 4 to 7 hours. So I've heard of days that go as long as 15 hours for some of our patients. And it is a long day and the hospital doesn't give you any meals during that time. And so Culinary Care steps in and we are literally making lunch count every single day for our families. And lunchtime is just one of those things that's so overlooked. I'm sure we've all had those days where you're sitting at your desk and it's 3 o'clock and you have totally forgotten to eat lunch. But for our patients, that isn't a choice. That isn't something where they're distracted. Oh, I just forgot to eat lunch today. Without Culinary Care, they might not have access to lunch in the hospital. And so every donation that we get, and if you want to help join in that effort, you can text MLC to 44321. We have a monthly giving community, and you can give as little as $1 to help make sure that someone has lunch. So that's what today is all about. It's Make Lunch Count Day. So we not only wanted to help make lunch count for all of our families that are going through treatment, but also just invite you to help make your lunch count because we've definitely all had those moments where lunch is ignored and it just helps us feel more productive. It helps your well-being. So take that step away from your desk. I know for, one of our families, he was communicating to us that he had a 2-hour commute to the hospital. He would go in for treatment. So it was about 5 hours. And then he would take a 2-hour commute home. And before seeing Culinary Care and before knowing about our program, he would not eat lunch. And so he would go home feeling more nauseous and more hungry and just absolutely exhausted. And so instead of being able to spend time with his family, he was just going straight to bed. And so when we started bringing him meals and just making a difference and making that lunch count, he was able to actually go home and have the energy to share with his family. And I feel like those moments are really what you need when you're going through treatment. So that's what Culinary Care is all about. Feel free to ask me any questions in the chat, but excited to kick things off. So I will introduce you to our MC, Jonathan Sadowski. You might know him as Josh Kaminsky from The Young and Hungry. He's also a producer, and just found out that he's also a Chop Star Power tournament champion. So he's definitely gotten in the kitchen himself. We're so grateful to have you here, Jonathan, and just want to welcome you to our virtual stage.
Thank you guys so much. I see my buddy Bryan laughing in the background every time that Chop to Star Power tournament comes up. On behalf of Haley and Courtney and everybody at Culinary Care, thank you guys so much for being a part of such an inspiring organization. As a Chicagoan myself, I love giving back to the community. And when Haley and Courtney asked me to do this, it was an automatic yes. I even got my Chicago hat on today, representing. So it's no shock that cancer affects a worldwide community. My personal story with it is when I was shooting Young and Hungry. I read every message I get on Instagram, on social media, and I received this message from a little girl, and she said, "Hey, Jonathan, my name is Megan Bug. I'm 14 years old. I'm from the Chicagoland area, and I'm battling stage 4 cancer." And she said, "I just want to let you know and thank you for letting me watch your show and kind of take me away from my own problems, half hour at a time." Megan and I would go on to become inseparable. She was like my little sister. And unfortunately, a couple of years ago, she succumbed to her sickness. But that said, I made it a promise to her and her family and myself that anything I can do to support organizations that are fighting against cancer, I'm going to do it. So here we are. First and foremost, as Courtney said, this is a charity event, and it's all about giving. So on this Make Lunch Count Day, go ahead and text MLC to 44321, and let's give crucial funds to an organization that helps so many people. So let's kick things off. Joining us first is one of my dear friends, Chef Bryan Voltaggio. Bryan is a husband, he's a father, he's a James Beard Award nominated chef, a Top Chef alum, and he is the author of the acclaimed book, Home, Recipes to Cook with Family and Friends. Let's give it up for Mr. Bryan Voltaggio.
Thank you, Jonathan. It was quite an introduction. Great to see you, buddy. Very, very happy and proud to be a part of this today. I know lunch matters and counts for so many that are out there. And as I started thinking about what it means to not have that, and hearing Courtney, talk more in detail about some things I'm actually just learning even from this webinar, the fact that so many go to treatment without having, a nutritious, healthy, protein even packed lunch. I came up with an idea. I'm calling this brunch, okay? Because I know today is all about lunch, but this is an overnight oats. And I know it's very trendy. I know a lot of people are seeing it right now, and a lot of people are finding recipes, but a lot of people haven't tried it yet. And a lot of people are like maybe nervous they might mess it up. I'm gonna show you how easy it is. I'm gonna make this in 5 minutes because that's what I've told I have, only 5 minutes. So this will be my fastest quick fire. So I've already pre-done it. I did it last night, but I'm gonna go through what I did here. And so I have in this bowl some oats, some chia seeds. I have some coconut milk. And by the way, it's completely vegan. Now you can go off script. You could, find a recipe that you like and adapt. The best thing is, like I said earlier, you cannot mess this up. I add protein powder to it, so that way it's packed full of protein. So that way it's keeping you nourished, keeping you energized. And then some almond butter. I just like that just for flavor, but also adding a little bit more protein. And that's going into this bowl here. And I'm just kind of mixing that up. And if you want to sweeten it, you can have maple syrup, agave, raw honey, anything you would like just to sweeten it a little bit. And obviously a little bit of salt. Salt's great for you. I know not too much, but just enough to bring out the flavors of the dish, and obviously just balance those flavors. So I'm just quickly mixing it up, and I'm just going to dump this whole thing right into a jar. You can use a weck jar, a ball jar, anything that you can find that you can seal with a lid. Now, the last ingredient, because I kind of just wet those, I have some cashew yogurt that's made with coconut as well, and I'm gonna add about a half a cup. So I started with a half a cup of the coconut milk, about a half a cup of the oats, about a tablespoon or so ish of the chia seeds. And then you just mix the whole thing up right in your jar. And then you just pop that right into the fridge. And that's it. And next morning, you will have a handheld travel breakfast, lunch, brunch, whatever you want to do. It'll be ready to go. It'll be soft, delicious. The flavors will come together. So this is what I have after last night. So I let that sit overnight. Now I'm all about texture. Like I like flavors and texture. I've been told that this is like wet and whatever. And you know, okay, fine. We can get around that. Okay. Because I like to have crunch. I like to have flavors. I like to be able to treat this like it's a trifle, like you're going through it and you're getting different flavors and pops of like, you know, sweet dates or, you know, maybe, you know, soft, nice, ripe bananas. Here I made some whipped coffee. So if you need to be energized and get ready for the day a little bit, you could take some whipped coffee, which is just instant coffee, some boiling water, and a little bit of sugar, and you could place that onto the top. And this is what you're doing in the morning. Okay, so you got the overnight oats. Most of the work is done. Now we're just adding some last minute garnishes. So that way, when you're in the car, maybe eating it stuck in traffic or whatever, you can do so and you have it to take with you. So I'm just going to slice some bananas. That'll be for my dog. All right, this is a quick fire. So I'm going to place some bananas over the top. I have some cocoa nibs, bitter cocoa nibs, like the outer shell of the cocoa bean that's been roasted. That adds like some good bitterness and texture. But then also sort of that juxtaposition between the soft oats. I take some granola that we make in our house. I sprinkle some of that over the top too. And then all you do is just, at the end of this, seal it with a lid, throw it in your backpack, your purse, whatever it is you're taking with you. Because this is vegan, there's no dairy in it at all. Okay. Now, still should be refrigerated, you know, has a shelf life, but for a good 2 hours or so, it'll remain cold enough that you could take it with you. If you're sitting in your office, you're in the morning, you're in the car, you're in an appointment, grab a spoon and go to lunch. So that's my dish. So, you know, I hope that, you know, all of you could take inspiration by the fact that, one, you can't mess this up. It's really hard to do. Find your own recipes, find your own flavor profiles you like. You can make yourself a really nutritious, you know, healthy, you know, jar full, just packed full of nutrition and take it along with you. And on this day of, you know, lunch being so important and for so many, I feel like that you could set up 5 of these, you know, share it with your friends and family. You know, if you're going into the office, you could drop one off and share it. I love sharing food. So hopefully you enjoyed it. And glad I could be a part of this today.
I mean, protein powder. Look at the forearms on that guy.
Talk about
packed with protein.
I didn't even try it yet. Make sure it tastes good. No, I know.
That guy's never found a jar he couldn't open.
Right.
Bryan, thank you so very much.
Absolutely. This is good.
I'm actually a huge fan of overnight oats, and I am definitely trying this recipe. The yogurt, that's clutch. That's a pro move. Thank you so much, Bryan, for being a part of Culinary Care. I miss you, buddy. All right, joining us next is none other than CJ Jacobson, chef partner at Abba and Ima, and the esteemed winner of Top Chef Duels. His accolades go on, and it is an absolute honor to have him here today. CJ, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for letting me be here. I'm really excited. Culinary Care actually is a little personal for me because when I was 30, I had testicular cancer. Now, I didn't have chemo, but I had radiation. And I remember what it was like having to go every single day, like first to radiation, then to like the restaurant that I was a line cook at. And it was very difficult because number one, it's just very sad. Like, you know, no one wants to be in a chemotherapy center. And that was one of the first things that sort of really rocked me. I think also when I had cancer, it finally kind of brought me to be a little more sincere. And what I mean by that is like, I think I joked around about everything. And it was going to this to the chemotherapy ward at UCLA, also my rival school. So that was kind of a bummer for me. But that was when I kind of really it hit me how serious this was. And then I think, Bryan, you could probably also agree, a lot of people reach out to us, a lot of people that are fans that unfortunately are in a hospital and going through chemotherapy or some complications from cancer, and you go and help them out. It seemed like every time I went, I think I did 3 or 4, I would go and I would go and get some food I know they couldn't get in the hospital, because I remember like how crappy the hospital food is. And it was always around lunchtime, so it's kind of ironic that I'm doing this now. I am in Austin, Texas currently. I'm not at my home kitchen, but I'm going to give you some things that I remember were like good for me during my time, and also just we have family friends that also have going through cancer, and things that we've done just in our home. Number one is it's funny he brought up protein, because I think that was like the most important thing to me. The whole talk of protein wasn't as prevalent as it is now, but a lot of things made me really, really like ill. Like I didn't want to smell it, but for some reason I could have chicken broth, especially if I had a little bit of like ginger in it. So one of my hacks for lunchtime is basically really all revolving around the pantry. If you have a well-stocked pantry, things that don't go bad like the next day, they can stay for 4 or 5 days. These, you can build different dishes all the time, and lunch becomes very, very easy. One important thing that I always have on hand is just roast garlic oil. Now you can buy you can buy a little garlic cloves already picked, already peeled from so many markets, Trader Joe's has it. And just cover it by 1 cup of olive oil and simmer it until they start to get like nice golden brown, and then bring them off. I then like to add a little bit of vinegar to that, because that'll kind of pickle them, and a little bit of salt. So when you take them out, and if you want to use them, say for a quick sort of lunch snack and spread them on like toast, it's very delicious. I also use this garlic oil for any sort of sandwich I make, which is like my lunchtime go-to, and something very, very easy to make. I brushed the bread with it before I put it into my air fryer. Yes, I love the air fryer. Bryan, I understand. Michael loves the air fryer too. We talked about this. An air fryer is now probably one of the biggest hacks you can use for lunchtime, because it makes everything kind of delicious. You cook a chicken breast in there in 10 minutes, and it comes out delicious. You can cook, like I said, bread, sandwiches, toast, everything. Along with the pantry, you should also have some simple pantry items like fish sauce, or if you don't like that, there's vegetarian fish sauce. This adds umami to things. So when I said before, we're going to talk, like I like making stews. Stews are things I bring to people's houses that I know are sick with like cancer, or even whatever the issue might be. You just start with garlic and onions, mirepoix, which is celery, carrot, and onion, and you sweat that down. You can add other vegetables. It's good to have canned beans on hand. It's easy to make sort of like bean stewy things. And then it kind of goes back to that roasted garlic oil that I brush on my bread, toast up, and have with my stew. That was always that was something I remember making quite a bit when I was ill, and things that I make now. I used to just drink a lot of like ginger chicken broth, to be honest. But I know that's not, you're going to bring in big quarts of broth over to people's houses, but having chicken stock is, I think, pretty important. And those are my hacks mostly. What else do I have? Along with the beans, like I like putting farro and lentils. You get all sorts of legumes in there. They're great for fiber, and they're delicious, and they're also adding more protein. So there is that. And that concludes my hacks: stews, toasty bread, stock, roasted garlic. These are yummy flavors, and they go a long way. So thank you so much for asking me to do this. I was very honored and touched, and actually was talking about my time having cancer and actually dealing with some of its effects. The more recent, it's brought it all home. So thank you very much. And if you have any questions, I'm here.
CJ, thank you so much. Another flawless hair day, my friend. Thank you so much, CJ. That's amazing. And I too, I always say broth makes everything better.
Yeah.
So before we continue with some more cooking hacks, I would like to introduce to you someone truly inspiring, our friend Ingrid. Ingrid is a culinary care patient who faced a cancer diagnosis during the pandemic. Her husband, who is a stroke survivor with aphasia and right side hemiparesis, is also received a cancer diagnosis. And both lacked the support they needed after losing their son 6 years ago. Ingrid has graciously joined us today to share her story and highlight the significance of nourishment during treatment. Ingrid, it is an absolute pleasure to have you with us today. Thank you so much and welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. And let me start by saying that what Culinary Care does means the world for cancer patients and the families. And it still moves me when I think back to those days. Actually, tomorrow, April 12th, will be exactly 3 years that I received my first Culinary Care meal. And the pandemic was raging, and I was still recovering from the bulking surgery and a hysterectomy that I had had 3 weeks prior. And because of the pandemic, people were staying away from each other. So they were not offering to bring in meals. It was really hard to get together with people. We were pretty vulnerable ourselves. And when we heard of Culinary Care, oh my goodness, it was like, this was something out of this world. The profound value of certain acts of kindness and compassion when you are at your most vulnerable point are so hard, to put into words. My husband was only allowed to go with me to that very first chemotherapy session, which was supposed to last the whole day. And we were supposed to carry with us ice and booties and gloves for, to try to combat the effects of neuropathy that the chemotherapy treatments were supposed to have on me. We walked to the hospital because we were afraid of taking transportation because of the pandemic. The cafeterias were closed. So when the meals arrived, we were both like, teary-eyed, and we were looking at each other. And we were thinking that this was so much more than the gift of food. It was, and I think that it still is, so moving and so humbling, because this delivered meal was a message of love. It was a message of hope. It was the emotional support that we needed, that, that brave people that we did not know were actually giving us, and telling us, you are supported. We are helping you out. Other people were not able to do it, and these people we did not know were supporting us, and they were telling us, we are here for you. I cannot put into words how that felt. It still moves me to the core. And my husband and I said, whenever we get through this, which we will, we need to help others in this situation, because there is nothing that conveys love as much as food does. And we know that in all cultures, you celebrate with food. You do things through food. You show your love through food. You celebrate. You go through things and you show it with food. So the true sense of solidarity that we felt was immense. And I told my husband, as soon as we can, we have to join the line, even if it is with little, because, we had a lot of expenses with treatment, and, we have a lot of health expenses because we seem to have won the bad health lottery with all our issues. But the fact that you can join the line, even just by, contributing with $1 a month, you can help cancer patients and their families. And this is huge and amazing. It's a very concrete help that you get. And when you are going through tough times, people will tell you sometimes, oh, what do you need? We are here for you. But people sometimes think that a chronic illness is something like a flu, and after a week, you're done. It's not like that. And Culinary Care does it so well. They are there and they will show up. Culinary Care shows up and you trust them and they will come with your food, and it's good food. It's amazing food. I have to say that to me, up to this day, the sense of gratitude that I feel is probably like very few other things that I feel for other organizations. And I feel indebted until the day that I die, because it's been totally amazing. Because not only did we feel embraced and loved and cared for, it was real kindness, real support, and real nourishment. So, for all of those of you who are considering helping and supporting a cause that is wonderful, this is the cause. And to all of the chefs and to all of the drivers and to all of the delivery people, what you do means the world. For those of us going through treatment, for the families that get to sit with the patients. I have sat with friends going through treatment as well, and then I've gotten meals then as well. It is amazing, and I've been lucky enough to be able to, during the holidays, to provide meal to patients as well. And I see in their eyes the same sense of gratitude that I felt when I got the meals, and it is absolutely amazing. So let's keep doing what we're doing, and let's keep spreading the word, because this is an amazing cause, and every person that is fed hopefully will pay it forward. And this is what humanity is supposed to be. Food is love. That's what I have to say.
Ingrid, thank you so very much. And you are right. Food is love. I happen to come from a big Italian family, and we eat constantly. And it's really easy to eat as a form of a celebration, but to feed people who need it, that is love. And don't forget, this is a charity event, and let's get the donations going. Text MLC to 44321. You can also go to the link in the chat to donate. And Ingrid, thank you again. All right, next up. Please welcome Janet Loughran. Janet is the owner of Red Wagon Meals. She's a private chef and a cooking instructor who runs the Instagram account chef.life.hacks, where she helps people feel more confident in the kitchen. Everybody, please show some love to Janet in the comments. Janet's muted.
Was I muted? You know what? That happens to me all the time. I'm so sorry. Let me start again. Okay, so what I was saying was I'm honored to be here. I can't believe I'm in the presence of culinary legends like Chef CJ and Chef Bryan. And thank you, Haley, for reaching out for me to help with this mission, because just listening to Ingrid's story just really brings it home how important this is. So happy to help. He mentioned Chef Life Hacks is my handle on Instagram. I just like to show you something that maybe you might not have used before to make your life easier in the kitchen, make you more comfortable. And that's how Haley found me. She saw my egg peeling hack that has been going crazy these past few weeks. So I'm going to show that, as well as a couple things having to do with avocados. So let me get started. What I did before I was on screen here is I started some water that was boiling. A lot of people will start eggs in cold water and bring it up to a boil. In my mind, some stoves will bring that up in 5 minutes to a boil. Others will bring it up in 10 minutes. minutes. So when you start with boiling, you know that you're at the right temperature. Once that's boiling, I sprinkle in, believe it or not, a little bit of baking soda. And the reason I do that is that makes the water more alkaline and allows the shell to release from the egg. So it's easier to peel for you. For 6 eggs, I will use about a teaspoon and then add to it for every 6 eggs, you know, up to that. All right, then I drain it and I put it in an ice bath. The ice bath is also the key to kind of cool it down a little bit. And you'll hear me, I'm tapping on the outside. I have a small spoon here. We also sometimes have a big spoon, but the small spoon is your helper. And what I do is I will take off either side, either top or the bottom, just a little bit of the peel there, okay? So the egg is exposed. And let me see if I can show you. What I'm doing is putting the spoon in between the shell and the egg, and then I twist all the way around. And look how easily that comes off. Perfect, no divots, no nothing. And then I will just drip it or drop it back in the water to remove any residual shells. Now, after you have that already prepared, things that you can use this with, they would have obviously egg salad, deviled eggs. We could add it to chicken salad, tuna salad, Cobb salad, ham salad. I kind of sound like Bubba from Forrest Gump, like shrimp potatoes. Anyway, and then transition, we can actually put that on avocado toast as well to add some protein. So my trick with avocados, to pick out one that is perfectly ripe, you want the outside to be a darker green, kind of closer to black. And then you also, if you see where this little stem is, if you look inside and it's the same color of what an avocado should be, a bright green, not a very light green and not a brown, you don't want those. Well, actually, if you do the light green, that's just not ready to be eaten yet. So that'll be just on your counter for a little bit, but I'll show you actually how to make that go quicker. So anyway, it also will have a little bit of a give if you push on it, kind of like a peach. If you know that a peach is ripe, has a little bit of give when you indent. Now, when this is totally ripe, if you are not ready to eat it yet, you can actually put it in the refrigerator, and that will kind of stop the ripening process. This actually, just to test it, I'll open it for you. It's been in my refrigerator for a week, and that's about the max. Sometimes it starts to brown after that. And if I cut it open, it's perfectly green after a week. And that's the state that I put it in there. So on the other side, conversely, if you have an avocado that you want to ripen, this will take about a day, maybe 2 days. It's not very, very quick. You would put it in a brown paper bag with an onion. And the reason we do that is because the gases that the onion emit, I've only ever read this word, I don't know if I'm saying it right, but it's allyl, A-L-L-Y-L sulfide. That is what ripens this quicker than if you were just to have it on your counter. I put this in here maybe 2 days ago. This was very, very hard, very unripe, and now it's perfect. So those are my 2 hacks. And like I said, I am so honored to be here, and just thank you, Haley, for reaching out. And I actually want to see if there's something I can do in the Pittsburgh area for Culinary Care, because this is just amazing what you're doing. I'd love to help.
Janet, thank you so very much. I love the little spoon trick. I thought you were going to do something else. Have you ever heard the hack where you tap an egg with the spoon beforehand and it kind of breaks the membrane before you hard boil it?
Yeah, I've also heard if you poke a little hole in the bottom, it actually will not allow it to crack once you add it to the boiling water. I've also learned, lots of people have commented that if you are at a higher elevation, like, not at close to sea level, like maybe up in the mountains, it actually is going to be a bit of a trial and error for you for the amount of minutes that you need to boil that. Mine for fully boiled takes 12 minutes. Someone commented it took them 20 to 22 minutes to fully boil an egg at 14,000 feet. So that was news to me. So yeah, I mean, 6 minutes would give you a jammy egg kind of for ramen, and then fully boiled is 12 minutes. So
I am the proud owner of an egg timer.
Oh.
That you just drop it right in your pot of boiling water, and the color of the timer will let you know how well done your egg is. It's
crazy.
It's science, I'll tell you. I'll tell you.
It.
Janet, thank you so much. Your hacks are amazing. Guys, I also want to thank Chelsea and Dane, who recently became monthly givers for Culinary Care. Thank you guys so very, very, very much for continuing to support an organization like Culinary Care. All right, next up, we have Chef Janet from Ben's Original. Chef Janet is joining us today from Mars Food and Nutrition. Mars Food and Nutrition believes that better food today equals a better world tomorrow. Chef Janet is going to share some tasty, healthy, and convenient meal tips using Ben's original ready-to-heat rice. Chef Janet, welcome.
Jonathan, and I think it is a special treat to get two Janets on the line today because it's not very often that happens. So pleasure to share the screen with the other Janet today, and also honored to be invited to participate and continue our partnership with Culinary Care. We feel really proud for the years that we've been partnering with them and the great work that they're doing that we've been able to support. So thank you for letting us be part of today as well. So I'm excited to share a couple of lunchtime hack/tips with you. In fact, I have two today that I hope is really around the theme of helping you feel nourished during lunchtime. I think my number one tip is that lunchtime should be a time where you eat something that's going to help you be energized throughout the rest of your day. You don't want to feel bogged down in a food coma, and you don't want to be starving before dinner the next time. So focus on veggies, lean proteins, and whole grains, and that'll get you there. And my secret weapon that I use all the time is entree salads. So I'm not talking about like a chicken Caesar salad. So not that I'm hating on chicken Caesars. Everybody loves good chicken Caesar, but something a little bit more substantial than that and a little bit more creative. Something that, like, you know, if you're on a casual moment, maybe you'd pick up at Sweet Greens, or you might find it in a more elevated restaurant. And not a lot of people make them at home because it takes some time and it seems complicated and overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be. And by preparing a number of them at one time, kind of meal prepping them, you can make 4 or 5 salads in the time that it takes to make one, and then you have them all week. And you can eat them at home or take them to the office or wherever you work. So my number one is the mason jar salad. So I've made 2 different kinds, one actually in a mason jar, and one is just one of these little takeaway deli containers. And I made 2 different kind of recipe versions, but you don't really need a recipe if you kind of follow this formula. So the formula that I use is dressing on the bottom and then your lean protein. So this one has kidney beans in it with balsamic dressing. This one has a little ranch dressing that I made with white beans and chicken. Then the next layer on top of that is going to be hearty vegetables, something that's not going to get weird and soggy in your dressing. So I've got beets and butternut squash over here. This guy, I've got some celery and carrots and bell peppers. Then I put in like a little veggie dam using my whole grains. So on the one with the ranch dressing, I'm using Ben's Original 10 Medley. And in the one with the balsamic dressing, I'm using the Seeds of Change Super Grains. So both of these are great because they're whole grains, and not only can you like heat them up and eat them as a side dish, but they're great for adding like satiety. You know, they're going to keep you feeling full in a salad. And you don't actually have to heat them up. You can add them cold right to your salad. And so on top of my little veggie dam, I put my leafy greens, and then I put pepitas on the top of this one. I put pecans and goat cheese on the top of this one. So totally complete meals. They have everything that you need to stay full and nourished, and you're going to feel good after you ate them instead of feeling weighed down. And super convenient. You just toss it in a bowl, stir it up, and it's fully seasoned and ready to go and taste delightful, and you can make it whatever flavor you like. My last tip is fried rice. And I know it doesn't sound very sexy. However, fried rice is actually a great meal, whether it's lunch or dinner, and you can even, again, make ahead. So it's great for reducing food waste also, which I'm pretty passionate about. So chop up whatever proteins you have, or throw some beans or tofu in a pan with whatever leftover veggies you've got. Broccoli stems, the ends of carrots, whatever it is, spinach, chop it up, throw it in the pan to saute it. And then, as many of you may know, the best way to make fried rice is with leftover rice, right? You don't want to use freshly cooked rice in your fried rice. You want leftover rice. But you can get around that by using the ready rice. So this is a great shorthand. You saute your veggies, you throw your ready rice in the pan, a little soy sauce on top, saute it for a couple minutes, and then like 5 to 10 minutes, you have fried rice ready to go, super healthy, reduces your food waste. And that is my 2 tips. Thank you.
Janet, thank you so very much. But I have to respectfully disagree with you. Fried rice is very sexy. Fried rice is very sexy. And also, salad in a jar, you're sitting on a gold mine. Thank you so much for your tips, and thank you for joining us. All right, everybody. Before we wrap this up, I would like to extend a very heartfelt thank you to everybody here at Culinary Care, to all of you watching. And before we go, I'd like to bring back Courtney Johnson.
Hi, everyone. Well, thank you all so much for joining us for lunch and for all of these hacks. I know that lunchtime is definitely one of those meals where you just really want to have a good meal, but it seems like it takes a lot of time and effort. So we really wanted to give something that, you can just think about and just make sure that you have something that will nourish you through the second half of the day. And, hopefully everybody got some really amazing tips and tricks from our awesome panelists. And Jonathan, thank you for being our MC and just your unwavering support and enthusiasm for our mission. And thank you so much to all of our chefs. So Bryan and CJ and both of our Janets, thank you so much for being here and sharing all of your tips and tricks and supporting Culinary Care. It really means the world to us. And Ingrid, we are so grateful for you sharing your story, and we're so grateful for you letting us into your community. And we appreciate you being here. And to everyone that has joined us online, we're so grateful that you wanted to take time out of your day to make lunch count with us. Everything that we do is fueled by our donors and the community that we rally together. And as Ingrid shared, it is not just a meal that we provide. The love and the care and the compassion is truly felt in every single meal that we deliver. And it just makes a world of difference. And I know it did for me and my family when we were going through treatment, and it does for so many others. And last year, we actually served 750 families. And this year, we will be serving even more thanks to everybody's support. So we're so grateful to all of you who have donated and gotten involved today. But if you are looking for ways to get involved, just go to culinarycare.org. Our site has just tons of different opportunities. If you're a runner, you can join our running community. If you have not as much time to give, again, you can join our monthly giving community. The line, as little as $1 a month, can make a world of difference. So whether you're texting 44321, text MLC, it just makes a world of difference. So thank you everyone for joining, and we'll share this and follow up with everybody to make sure you can get a copy of the live stream and just share it. We're so grateful that you joined us today.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much.